This is Johann Randall, and have yet decided what to call this show, if it is a show. Last night, the first episode, I wrote in the title Vlogcast number 1, and I don't know where I got that. Maybe I read it somewhere, probably in the podcast Facebook group, where one of the guys was looking for a vlogcaster or podcaster. But right now, I still don't have an idea, or I have several ideas on what to call this show. If it's gonna be the Johann Randall show, I wouldn't call it the Johann Randall Experience, because there's already a certain JRE, the alpha gorilla in the podcasting world, is already out there. Maybe we'll just call this the Yo show. I don't know. Maybe you guys could help me out a little bit here. You can type down below. You can comment down below what we can call this show, and maybe we'll go from there. For today's episode, I was writing down whatever came into my head, although I got a certain topic in mind, and just wrote whatever came in from the ether. Today's show will be about how Joe Rogan turned me into a Bitcoin bull. But before we get into that, one of the skills that I lack, or skills that I'm not comfortable with right now, is my ability or inability to tell a good story. Even my writing is meh. So I had to find out the hard way that one of the essential skills for anyone to be successful in YouTube is to be able to write a good, thought-provoking, engaging story. And I haven't done that, I think, ever. So you will just have to stay with me in this early stages of whatever this is, and deal with the shitty storytelling that I'm gonna do right now. So let's start with a bit of house cleaning first. Or is that the right terminology? Whatever. So if you're new here, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe. It will help out this guy a lot. And please do like the video and follow me in my socials if you want. You can find it in the banner. So let's begin. Alright, I fell into this topic partly because we are personally going under a wealth transfer, because recently the family's matriarch passed away and she left her wealth to be taken care of, or to be managed by her 7 siblings, now 6, because my dad passed away before she did. So they'll be planning on what to do with the properties that was left by my grandma. And from the little I know about transfer of wealth, I'm kind of lost for words here. When you inherit the wealth of your parents, it's going to be fought over. Most of the time, it's going to be fought over by the siblings. And being in the Bitcoin space for the past couple of years, I know something about which assets will get you real wealth. One of those is real property. So if ever, I just wrote it down because there are talks that they'd want to sell some of the properties, including the ones are in or where we grew up in, and that we believe that is rightfully ours, because it has long been agreed upon that a certain part of the property is already divided to each sibling. That is why, since we are the heir of one of the siblings, I wrote down that if they're going to sell it, the only way that we'll sign off on it is that we'll retain ownership of our part of the land. We'll lease it to the developer or to the buyer. No, it's not gonna be the buyer because we're not gonna sell it. So to the developer. And we'll have a commercial and residential space in whatever development they plan on doing on our piece of property. That's what I'm gonna tell my mom. Anyways, so here's the story on how Joe Rogan turned me into a Bitcoin bull. So how do I do this? In a story, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. There's usually a conflict to be resolved in the middle of the story, but I don't know how to. I'm still figuring out how to tell this story. So maybe we'll be going over this again with the help of you guys who are listening, who might give an input as to how I can improve this story, since I'm doing something called just enough, just to get this out in time for my daily deadline. So here we go. Back in, I guess, 2009, I started out training for memory competitions. Let's just start with that. Back in 2009, when I thought I knew everything, I just found out I didn't. It's when I learned about how to improve my memory. There are howling dogs right now in the neighborhood because it's almost 1 in the morning and I'm sitting in the car. They're probably feeling me right now and they're asking me to just go inside. So yeah, to cut this short, I got into memory training, got neck deep into self-improvement and self-help. And during that time, I was a big fan of UFC and MMA back when Pride and the UFC is battling it out on who will be the one fighting championship to rule them all. So being in self-help and eventually a fan of Joe Rogan, I started listening to his podcast, the Joe Rogan Experience. And if you know anything about Joe, he'll tell you about DMT and the machine elves and everything else and everything amazing about that realm. So I tried to get me some of that dimethyltryptamine in the dark web because there weren't any acacia trees around and I had no kitchen to cook with. So I fumbled around and got introduced to the king of all crypto, to the infamous Satoshi Nakamoto. And I soon realized that if I'm going to spend all of my monetary energy into acquiring that fuck you money, I need to find out about how money works or how money is created. And getting into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency taught me just that. If I'm going to save all of my monetary energy, it better be in something that will not be depreciated at least over my lifetime. So that's how I got into Bitcoin. Alright, so again, I'll just chop this up and we'll do this again tomorrow.